Hey YouTube, we're back with another video about key fobs. As you can see, this key fob has seen better days. This is the key fob, one of the key fobs to my wife's 2008 Cadillac CTS, and this is the one I carry around, and yeah, so I can't blame this on her. Big chunk missing out of here, and this is coming apart, and this has been getting worse and worse for years. Of course, it's a 10-year-old key fob at this point, so not super surprising. So once this starts happening, as I say, you've got about three choices. Of course, you can take it to Cadillac and tell them, hey, I need a new key, and they'll sell you a new key and reprogram it and cut you a new one of these and charge you, I'm guessing, several $100s in parts and labor. The other option would be to go and buy another key fob on eBay, a new one, a genuine one, and just swap the guts out. That would be much cheaper because the key fob still works, so you could just take the board out and then transfer it and your key over to another key fob. So that's a possibility. The other possibility is to purchase a new shell. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I actually tried this a couple of years ago when this started falling apart. I purchased one on eBay and it just didn't work at all. It wouldn't stay snapped together and it was just total garbage. But we're going to give it another go. I've found one on Amazon that gets good reviews, so we're going to see what the process is like and if this other key fob is actually worth anything. Alright, so here we have our new key fob from Amazon. This, at the time of filming, was just under $15 and gets decent reviews. There's several of them on Amazon. Some of them get better reviews than others. This one is by a company or brand called Heart Horse. Yeah, so I don't know what that's all about. Interesting brand name there, but I'll put a link in the description below. Keep in mind that you want to make sure that your key fob is that you get the right version. There's lots of different versions of these, even though they look the same. So my link will get you started, but that may not necessarily be your fob depending on what year you have and whether yours is a CTS or an SRX or so on and so forth. So let's take a quick look at this before we get going. Fancy packaging here. Yeah, so this is what we've got here. Looks pretty good, but I'm going to point out a couple differences which I knew about going into it, but first and foremost, the most obvious issue is we've got no logo on the back here. So to me that's not a huge issue, but I think we might be able to fix that later on. So we'll tackle that after we get the key fob put together. The other difference is while they're the same width, the new one is slightly taller. Okay, so again, for me, not an issue. I don't care. It could be an issue for some. I know they make little cases for these little rubber carriers, little leather carriers and things like that. So if you're using one of those, then this might not be the best solution. But that's going to be the other difference there, is for whatever reason it's a little taller. But that's enough about that. Let's go ahead and get the guts from this one, transfer it over this one, and see how it works. Alright, so let's get the old one torn apart here. Normally there's a button that you would press here. But in my case it's just going to pull apart. Now if you want to see the proper way to take apart a key fob like this, I do have another video. I'll put a link here in the video up in the top corner. But since this one is falling apart, I'm not too concerned with doing it correctly, and we're just going to try to get it apart without doing too much more destruction here. Alright, so we've got that part pretty easy, and you can see even this part here has been coming apart, these two layers. So we've got that apart. This one here came already not really snapped quite together. I guess so that it's easy for me to get it apart. So we'll pull that out, and you can see they've got a nice brand new blade in here. And so while I suppose you could get that cut if you wanted to, I'm hoping that we can just transfer the original blade over to this new bottom piece here. Alright, and there we go. Alright, so this little PCB here is going to be the main portion that we need to transfer over. And so it looks pretty similar, and it just lays down into the new one. No big deal there. This is where things might get a little tricky. There's our CR2032 battery, and you can see that this little metal contact piece is not in this one. So it looks like we'll need to transfer that over. I think we could just take some needle nose pliers. Oh, that pulls right out, no big deal. Alright, so we've got the old one here on the bottom and the new one up top, and you can see the shape of where that contact piece slides into is a little bit different. So it took me a second to realize exactly what was going on. This new one, you've actually got, let's see if I can get this angled where you can see, two little pass-throughs here instead of the one. So this wider one near the middle is the one that piece needs to slide into. And it's a little bit tricky to get in there. There it goes. And so it will eventually work its way in there. So, not sure why they didn't include that, but hey, for $15, I guess it's hard to complain. So next we want to stick our battery back in, making sure that the positive side is facing the outside of the case there. Just like that. And now, moment of truth. See, the thing that I had a problem with on the cheap eBay one I bought a few years ago is that you couldn't even snap the pieces together. So now it's time to see how well this all fits together. Alright, got it together without too much difficulty. I had a little bit of problem when I got down to here to the bottom. This little button didn't want to line up quite right. So make sure that you kind of come down these sides evenly as you're snapping it together. Otherwise this button will want to walk through one side or the other and it won't snap together. But that looks pretty good. Let's see here. All the buttons feel pretty good. Alright, so next up on the agenda, let's see if we can swap the keys over. There's a little Phillips screw down here in the base. Larger Phillips screw on this new one. Seems to fit in there okay. And that slid right in without a problem. Let's see if it fits into the new key. Hey, not bad. Very nice. So next up, let's see if there's anything we can do about this logo. Alright. I believe this logo is metal, so we're going to want to be careful not to bend it. So what I'm trying to do is kind of roll the casing itself back away from the logo. Let's get this out of the way. So it came off without too much of a fight. And so on the back though, we do have a little bit of a part that sticks out here, which fit into this little cavity here. I guess that's just so they could put it on straight at the factory. You'll notice the old one does not have that little cavity. So we're going to need to do a little bit of a modification to this old one here. And it looks like this glue, I have some epoxy that I was going to use, but this double-sided tape here is in pretty good shape. So if it survives whatever I do to remove this little plastic piece, then we may just be able to stick it on the new one. So you can see I just took a good old Dremel and shaved that little part right off, so now the bottom is nice and flat. So now we've got this little logo ready to transfer over. We'll do our best to make it straight. And yeah, it looks like that adhesive held up okay. Alrighty guys, that about does it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope you will consider hitting that subscribe button and giving this video a like if it helped you out. Don't forget, I've got a link in the description below. This is not a sponsored video. I don't get any money from it, but it's just there for your convenience.